Good evening, everybody. It is 7:27 on April 15th. I would like to call the Government Operations Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Bongard.
Here.
Munns. Lencioni.
Here.
Gem.
Here.
Petrilla.
Here.
Warble.
Here.
Messner.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Folkaitis.
Here.
Folks.
All right. Thank you very much. First up, we have the omnibus vote. I'd like a motion and a second to approve.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Messner, seconded by Warble. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. That carries. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next up is item 6A. Chief Keegan, you have the floor.
Thank you. So item 6A is a presentation, or actually a recommendation, of a proposal for a B1 liquor license for Chum's Shrimp Shack located at 2115 West Main Street. So this appeared earlier this evening at the Liquor Control Commission meeting in advance with a 2-to-1 recommendation. This is an asset sale. So the previous ownership group sold to Mr. Rodriguez, the petitioner, about a month or so ago. Mr. Rodriguez owns and operates 3 taquerias, one in Algonquin, Crystal Lake, and Woodstock. Bassett training and dram shop is in place. This is a smaller footprint restaurant that has historically had both a gaming license and a liquor license. The petitioner is seeking a liquor license that would mirror that of the former ownership, but there was some complications in the background that's probably noted in your packet. The petitioner, although he wasn't present and directly responsible, there were 3 compliance checks over a 2-year period at the Algonquin and Crystal Lake location that resulted in underage liquor sales. In reviewing his material, talking to counsel and the petitioner, there is a section of our liquor code that does allow me to make recommendations to you for additional provisions or recommendations. The 2 that I have outlined is both a manager being present at all times that liquor sales take place, and then secondly, a ID machine or if you've seen them at taverns and bars, the ownership or clerk, cashier, server can swipe a driver's license or an ID. It would automatically validate or populate that to ensure that A, it's valid and up to date, and then B, it would also do the calculations for the age. A lot of our taverns and bars use it in our greater downtown, not only for that purpose, but also to keep track of those that have been banned. I will tell you that some systems in place in St. Charles have this integrated into their POS or their point of sale system. So I think it would greatly help reduce underage sales. This is a smaller scale restaurant. It's not a tavern. I don't suspect a large volume of alcohol sales, nor a problem with underage sales. But I do want to note to the petitioner that, and I said this at the Liquor Control Commission meeting, that having a liquor license is like having a driver's license. It's a privilege. It's not a right. And should you decide to issue a license, he does have 3 other licenses in 3 other communities. They're all in good standing, means they're valid, and the state has also left them in good standing. So there were fines levied in each of these cases. We've had the same issue happen here in St. Charles. We've done compliance checks, and servers have miscalculated the year of birth and the age and their sales that have taken place. So I do recommend in favor of a license, but with the provisions that I've outlined. I've checked with counsel, with Mr. Peppers, and it's part of our code that I've outlined. And with that, I can answer any questions you might have, and Mr. Rodriguez can as well.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? Go ahead, Ron.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Chief. I do see several red flags in this application. Besides the 3 violations of period of 2 years, which bothers me, the fact that, I guess, and the biggest one is on page 8 of the application. It says that they did not disclose a violation they had. But yet on the application, it asks to list all violations. So if we can't even fill out an application correctly, I have a serious issue with giving them a liquor license. A liquor license in St. Charles is a privilege, and I don't think they've earned that privilege just because they can't fill out an application. So I will be voting no on this application. I appreciate your concerns about what you're going to do to take care of it. But with this, they didn't fill out the application right. I know we've had this discussion before.
Yes, I understand.
It's a simple question, and they did not answer it truthfully, and that concerns me. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I don't have the report in front of me and the numbers in front of me, but how much alcohol gets sold at Chum's traditionally?
It's a very, you know, a lot of their business is carry out and catering. I believe it has less than 20 seats, so to my point, I don't suspect a large volume of sales that takes place. And it hasn't been, I didn't pull the tax records, but I would suspect that it's a very low number.
So conceptually, while ownership is changing and this application moving to a different petitioner, the reality is that the people who are shopping at Chum's and purchasing alcohol is largely going to stay consistent. And there's no reason to believe that. I'm trying to understand the logic of why, you know, this passed 2-1 and you feel so confident. You know, the idea that it's the same location, it's the same brand, it's the same, there, you know, shouldn't be, you know, any reason to believe that the behavior that's been taking place at that location is going to change at all.
I wouldn't think so, and hence the recommendations, but I obviously, you know, can understand and appreciate where Mr. Sokaitis is coming from. I will tell you that we, you know, not only do we do compliance checks, which is obviously what took place here in Algonquin and Crystal Lake, but we also do inspections, and our staff, our police officers, take that role very seriously when it comes to, you know, outside consumption, underage sales, hour violations. I think the proof's in what we've done here over the last decade or so of how we've tackled some of the issues that have maybe historically taken place. So I vow to you that we will definitely do yeoman's work in making sure that he's following our laws and ordinances, and should there be a violation, he will be held accountable.
Go ahead, Paul.
I have two things. First of all, Chief, I trust your judgment. Second of all, I just want to check. So there's not a change in the restaurant at all? It's just a new ownership?
Correct.
Everything's going to be the same?
It's actually operational right now without a liquor license.
Yes. Because I think, little known fact, they have the best hush puppies I've ever eaten in my life. So I'm glad to see them continue. And if you've seen that they're good operators and you have taken a look at it, I'm comfortable with that.
Go ahead, David.
No, I appreciate the comments from my colleagues. Full disclosure, I was the no vote on Liquor Commission, and just I'm going to state it again, and full council, I have concerns about what word did you use, chief, complications. So I guess, you know, to Ryan, to your comments, I mean, to help you understand, you know, this is a new owner, and we have a pattern of some activity and behavior in other municipalities that suggests that potentially, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball in front of my face, but neither do you or anyone else. And I do appreciate your comments too, and your yeoman's work, as you mentioned, Chief. And as I mentioned in LCC, I don't think your team should have to keep eyes on a shrimp shack to maintain, you know, as much as now there are going to be eyes on it. You have other important work to do as well. And I'm not supporting this too, because again, I don't like, I mean, we're talking this 3 violations in 3 years. Come on, give me a break. And I don't want your team to have, and they're going to have to if this passes, obviously. And then, you know, liquor is not ancillary to the business, correct? So there've been comments about this is going to hurt business. I mean, I would say not at all, because it's not you said it's not a tavern. I'm also concerned that possibly this could, you know, they could be hiding in plain sight, if you will, meaning, you know, perhaps the fact that they're not a tavern, folks might think, hey, we might be able to get away with it here. I don't know. I haven't been a teenager in many years, but I just don't like it. We have standards here. I'm going to vote no on this.
Go ahead, Brian.
I'm just concerned with 3 violations in 2 years. I feel like we need to keep the standards high. I feel like, you know, we have a lot of families in our community. We have a lot of kids, young people, and I feel an obligation to make sure the standards are held high, that we look out for our youth in the community. And some of the things that concern me, one that stood out was the Bassett training. To serve without Bassett certification, then tell the officer, I believe it was in Crystal Lake, that he had Bassett certification and they did not. That's an internal management issue going on there, and that's poor judgment. So I just don't have the confidence that there's going to be proper oversight within the restaurant. So I'm not going to support the liquor approval tonight.
Go ahead, Ed.
Chief, is there a database that collects all this information from these ID scan machines? Who has access to it?
So you mean the machine that I'm recommending?
Yeah.
I mean, there's different proprietors that sell a number of different machines, so they're stored internally. You know, for instance, some of the taverns that use them have that ban list I talked about, and they scan the barcode. It'll populate the photo and things. But no, there's not a central. If you're asking if there's a central location that maybe we would be able to access,
Right,
no,
the state or yourself, yeah, for sure.
No, they're mostly integrated in the POS systems or the proprietary. They look like the old 35 millimeter or digital cameras. They're in your palm, and you can just.
It's more of a convenience and a safer way of making sure.
Yeah, we've used them with great success, and you know, and I completely appreciate everybody's comments. And you know, we have had compliance checks where we've had just that, where you know, age has been miscalculated and things. I think this would be a different story if this was a tavern or maybe a different business plan. And I, like I said, I can appreciate where everyone's coming from. His licenses in other communities are in good standing, as is his state licenses, and that's really the basis for our recommendation. But I appreciate everybody's comments.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Paul.
Move approval.
Chair Weber, I believe Alderperson Munns has a question.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jamie.
Thank you. I do have a question. So I understand they had 3 violations in 3 years. What would happen if they had another violation if we were to approve this? We had another violation in this next 12-month period. Is there, would they lose the license? Would there be some sort of penalty? At what point do they lose their license, or what are the steps?
Well, I think, you know, I can't speak for another community, but typically what we've done here in St. Charles is we follow the tenets of progressive discipline. So, you know, sometimes we'll issue a fine with maybe some additional training and things. We've suspended licenses. We've actually revoked a license or two in my time here. So typically, you know, the state can also impose sanctions. But I believe in the other communities that I mentioned, they were all fine only. I don't believe there were suspensions. But that's really the purview of the local liquor commissioner.
And we count those previous violations if that happens here? Would we take into account the previous violations in other locations?
I believe the license here in St. Charles would be a standalone license with our local liquor commission. I don't believe we would take into account. I think for the purposes of the background, we obviously would consider that, and that's what really the background investigation dictates. But if there was a violation of our ordinances here, we would handle that within the city.
Okay, thank you so much.
More other questions? Lencioni made a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Gem. Can I please have a roll call vote?
Bungard,
Yes.
Munns,
Yes.
Lencioni,
Yes.
Gem,
Yes.
Petrula,
No.
Wirbal,
No.
Sulkaitis,
No.
Did you say something?
No, I thought Besner was next.
Yes.
oh,
That's why I was surprised when you called.
Bessner?
oh, Besner, I'm sorry,
Yes. Yes.
Oh, no.
and Sulkaitis. Thank you.
That's, did you ask Munns? Yes. You were yes? Couldn't hear. Okay. All right, that motion carries. Thank you very much, Chief. Okay, next up we have public comment. Anybody? None of the students want to make a comment? No? Okay. All right, any additional items from mayor, council, staff? No? All right, we are now, I'm going to ask to go into executive session for collective bargaining discussion. So with that, I'm going to need a motion and a second to go into executive session.
So moved.
By Gem, seconded by Bessner.
Yes, sure.
Roll call, please.
Try it.
Bungard,
Yes.
Munns,
Yes.
Lencioni,
Yep.
Gem,
Yes.
Petrula,
Yes.
Wirbal,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Sulkaitis.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. At this moment, we are going to be going into executive session, so unless you're with the city, you are excused, but you can come back when the executive session is over if you want. And you'll get extra credit, I heard.
Huh.